Hello there, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks on Gainy Titan. We're here on Malinovka, the winter variant of the map, and it's a team destruction game. Pretty solid tier 8 game. I'm in the T95E2. And there are quite a lot of heavy tanks, but there are no light tanks in the team, in either team. So this is the scouting basically duties falling to medium tanks, and Malinovka is not the easiest map to scout on, at least not for medium tanks. It's the perfect map in many respects, or at least one of the better maps for scouting for light tanks, but it's not a great map for medium tanks, particularly one like mine, which is rather tall, a very high profile. It is also not blessed with massive mobility. I mean, yeah, we can do 50 kilometers an hour, which is pretty good for a tier 8 medium. But it's not the kind of speed that's going to get you out of trouble or to allow you to do very aggressive active scouting. At least not in open terrain, whereas you could do stuff with lights. They can hit higher speeds, and many of the low profile as well, so you're a much harder, smaller target to hit. Now, this is as far as I'm willing to come on this map in this direction, but I think this direction is an important direction to scout in. Where that medium tank is coming up in D6 is quite an aggressive scouting position as long as he stays there and just peeks the ridgeline. The minimal amount of tank showing, just enough to keep everybody spotted. However, he doesn't do that, he just drives right into the middle of the tank destroyers, and that's the end of him. It looks like the vast majority of our remaining heavy tanks are actually heading for the hill, supported by one medium tank. We have a couple of tanks on the field. The tanks in the field are actually good. I mean, those tanks down there at, H6, are actually in a good position because they support my location, and if that medium had remained at D6, they would be able to support him and do a lot of damage to any tank that came in on top of him to try and destroy him. I have, however, been spotted, and it's time to actually vacate the territory. The big danger here is that there are tanks in the middle of the field that cannot be seen by my allies, and that are out of my spotting range too, but can spot me. Without knowing exactly what tank destroyers are down there in the village at the bottom of the field, it is very difficult to say how far they can view range in. And it's very possible some of the medium tanks in the enemy team have much better view ranges than they do, and therefore, because one of those shots that came into me was from the middle of the field. One of them was artillery, but there was no point in hanging around, because if I was continued to be lit up, I would be taking fire from the middle of the field from tanks that I can't see and can't shoot back at. I'm taking this position now because I want to prevent enemy tanks from crossing over into the area that I vacated. I don't want the enemy to be able to project vision down into our base area or spawn area or the village at the bottom of the field as well, at the southern end of the field. Now, we have a couple of tanks that have pressed up along the lake and the western side of the map, and they're now reached the edge of the western side of the map. But I don't think they're... I mean, you often see attacks going up that way, and sometimes they work, but I don't think it's the most profitable course of action. I think it's a relatively straightforward task for 2 or 3 tanks to actually stop an offensive coming from that direction when it attempts to go from the lake, say from G1 up to, D1, that line, that row or line. Now that Cromwell is coming down into making a very aggressive scouting run, and I cannot afford to remain where I am, because if he spots me, then he's spotting me for tanks that we know already are out in the field, and they would be able to shoot me, and I have no cover at all. So if I'm going to risk it with no cover, I'm going to risk it in a position where I can kill that Cromwell. Having now gotten rid of the Cromwell, I need to get in behind cover quickly so that the tanks in the field don't do a lot of damage to me. I've been actually fairly fortunate. I took really minimum damage from that. I could have taken more, but now I get the chance to shoot back because some of these guys are spotted. So that T-34-2 I don't think is aware that I'm shooting at him at all, or that he's been shot at from my direction. He's ducking further behind the rock that he's behind and not paying any attention to me or to my direction. Now I'm going to push forward again because I know there's more guys out in the field and I just want to get another chance to shoot at them, preferably from ways they're not expecting me to come back. Poke out there and I get one shot off, but I said not to continue out that side because I'm kind of afraid there would be still tanks around D4, C4, D6, C6, that area right to my north. And going around that side of the hill, I'd be completely exposed to those tanks, whereas on this side of the hill, I've pretty much complete cover from those tanks. And that Yak Panzer IV is tracked sideways onto me, so that is free damage. I would be very foolish and doing my team no favours by not taking it. The Panzer IV M10, or the Panther IV M10, is making a run for it across the open field, but he's going towards enemy forces and he's taking a lot of damage. It's not actually a good idea, I think, on his part. We're now one ahead on tanks, and there's a T-34 2G FT, which I presume is a Chinese tank destroyer, and this is guarding this cutting down into the lakeside. I basically want to get into cover before I start trying to do some serious damage to this guy, bouncing shots off him so far. However, allies I think did some damage to him, and we made a go at me there. I managed to finish him off. By the time all of this was done, we have basically reversed the situation and completely overwhelmed the enemy. There's now only 4 enemy tanks remaining, and only 2 tanks out in the field and 2 artillery. One of the remaining and more dangerous of the remaining enemy tanks that it makes AMX 445. He's got a pretty good gun, and he's not bad armour, particularly the lower hull armour. So I'm keeping him lit up. He's done a bit of damage to me, but I managed to get a shot into him in return. But I need also to keep moving. I can't afford to be either coming up and down in the same location or sitting still, because there's still 2 enemy artillery in play, and they're quite formidable guns, even if they have relatively slow rates of fire and relatively low accuracies, at least in comparison to the British or American equivalents. So the AMX M4 is almost finished off. It just takes one more hit from somebody to finish him off, and that's it. So it's now just the Yazzie. I kind of screw up here. I didn't reckon the Yazzie was so fast to turn, and I also thought the side armour wouldn't be quite as strong. So I'm trying to put a shot, wait till I get around, put a shot in side armour, and that one just bounced straight up in the air. I wasn't as quick to maintain the impetus of the turn, but he's put his shot mostly into my tracks, and artillery finished them off. That was a very good shot, and I signalled to my allies to indicate my opinion on it, and then I have to change course a couple of times to avoid the inevitable response from the enemy artillery. However, the self-propelled guns, the enemy artillery, are the only tanks remaining on the enemy team, and I've switched to high explosives to maximise my damage output against those types of tanks, because they're not very well armoured. So we spotted a Rain 15550, and we managed to put a round into him, almost finish him off, not quite. He gets finished off a moment or two later, and then the other tank has to be down here, so we spot the GW Tiger P, and again we don't kill him on the first shot. We have to reload. I'm going to wait them directly behind, so there's no armor or anything that's stopping me from putting the reload in, and we finish him off. That was it. Game over, good game, and quite happy with the result. So with the game over, we get the victory screen. We did quite a bit of damage and assistance damage, so with 1000 credits, 2.5k damage, almost the same in assisted damage, a first class mastery, and we came number 1 by experience. Didn't quite have the highest damage. That was one of the artilleries in our team, but it was a pretty respectable result, and I'm quite happy with it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't already done so, please consider giving the channel a subscription. And thank you for watching, and once again I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.